Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back for another episode of Happy Little Orks. I'm your host, Josh Hampton, and tonight we're going to be continuing working on our little friend, the Azure Rathalos. Guys, it's been a whole week since I've spoke to some of you. I hope you guys have had a good week. If you haven't, well, I hope that I can help to make your day a little bit better. So, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. For those of you that have been keeping up with the progress on the boy, this is what we got so far. A little messy right now. It's okay. We'll come back, clean it up some. Like I've said before, 2 thin coats. We're just now on the first coat. And we got a lot of space to cover on this guy. So we're just going to go ahead, dive right into it. And I want to see if I can't move my camera just a little bit closer, make things a little bit more comfortable for myself. Oh god. Now the keyboard's in the way. All right, there we go. This is much better. I don't have to lean over the table. No, Miss Harley Q, I did not bring my palette today. I'm using some more amazing sheet board. I swear, I'm going to remember to bring it at some point. It's not today. It really isn't. I will go ahead and say I've been kind of scatterbrained here the past several days. Arthritis has been kicking in real hard. Tropical Storm Danny, I believe, is hitting us up with all kinds of just crazy weather and shenanigans. And because of that, I've been having all kinds of problems out of my leg, lower back, ankles, hands, arms. Pretty much, the entire Hampton, minus the head, except the jaw. Arthritis in my jaw. You guys are probably wondering, how do you get arthritis in your jaw? And, well, you know what? If you get kicked in the side of the head hard enough, like right around here, just pops it right out of place. So yeah, that was not a exceptionally pleasant day. Taking that hit to the side of the head, it was a lot worse having the jaw pop back in place. That is a pain that I never want to go through again. So, guys, like I said, it's been a whole week. How have y'all been? Tell me about it. As you can see, there's a lot of work that I need to be doing on my boy here. I know it seems like it's kind of hard to see him. We've got a few extra lights on that we don't typically have. We've been experimenting, and I may or may not have forgotten to turn a few of those cameras off. Or lights. Guys, I've been having a hard time talking literally all day. If you were watching me and the Smash Captain Palmer for TNT Tactics, yeah, no, I was stumbling over my words the entire time. So, we are going to pick up right where we left off, which is working on this boy's wings. We're going through, doing the bones, getting these done up. We'll come back later and do the actual webbing in between. But right now, I'm wanting to get the majority of this blue just done and over with, because that is going to be the biggest part of this model, is the blue. And the more of it we get done sooner, the sooner we can move on to other things. And it's always easy to go back and do some touch-ups in case I make a mess out of the blue. It'd be more of a pain to go back and touch up on that webbing for his wings. So what? You're shaking your head at me. What? Why? Why would you do that? I'm a painty boy. I'm over here and I'm painting. So we're just going to keep working on the bones here. It's okay if we're a little bit messy. with this part of him, simply because, like I said, we'll come back and we'll do our second coat like we always do to take and touch up some of these parts, but we're going to take and just paint in on the membrane later, and it'll be, I hate to put it this way, but it'll be like coloring in the lines, so it'll be a lot easier to go back and do that than it will to go back and do the lines. But yeah, for any of you that watched this past Tuesday's C&H Collectibles, um, you guys would have heard that both myself and Chris the Collector have practiced martial arts. I've practiced several different ones: Tai Chi, Shaolin, uh, Ninjutsu. It's a mouthful for its actual name, but that's what it boils down to, is ninjutsu. And I've had all kinds of injuries. Broken ankle because of Shaolin. 3 stress fractures in that ankle was the crazy bit. And then just back when I was practicing ninjutsu, me and some of my buddies would go out and we would spar, practice, all that jazz. And one of them, while we were sparring, just up does this big old roundhouse kick and hits me right in the side of the head. Jaw came out of place. I hate to say it, Chris. I kind of don't. Like, I miss the routine of it, but like my body itself is just not capable of doing it anymore. And it's one of those things that knowing it is great and all, but I haven't put a lot of it to use in years. Um, TV and everything makes it seem like knowing martial arts will be a lot more relevant in your life than you realize, and it's really not. So yeah, as you guys are seeing, it's taking me quite a bit longer to work on these wings. And it's simply because right now, again, detail. Like all these details. I know realistically, probably just take and paint at least these bones the same color as the webbing itself, and then go with a shade over the membrane, which in hindsight is probably what I should have done. Um, but I have come far too far to do just that. Realistically, it's probably going to be a matter of I'll have to go back and just go ahead and just paint over the wings and make life a little bit easier that way. And yes, in the words of Bruce Lee, be like water. So, Chris, what are you playing tonight, buddy? I know typically you're trying to get good luck vibes off of me. I want to know what you're needing good luck on. If only you had been listening to me during the Dragon Ball Fighters tournament earlier, maybe you would have done better against Holly. Oh, got you some Gears of War going. Very fun. But yeah, uh, it always seems like here lately you're just playing Gears of War and doing real bad at it. It seems. Not calling you out or anything, but I mean that is mostly just what it seems like. And guys, if you're wondering, I'm trying to find the right brush for the job right now because I'm getting paint on some of these brushes and then they're just immediately fraying outwards. And that's not what I'm needing for this. So, and I want to try and get a bit more work done with each of my strokes than I was with that detail brush. So, give me just a minute. This one might be a bit too big, but we will find out. Okay, looks like this one will be just fine for us. Yeah, there we go. I mean, Gears 3 was honestly a pretty good environment for competitive play, but Gears 4 just kind of ramped it up and took it to 11, and that's when things started getting really crazy with multiplayer. I've not touched 5, but I remember messing around with the multiplayer for 4, and I did not enjoy it. 3 was fun, but man, Kelly, I would love to get a gaming PC, but man, I got that Warhammer addiction. Yeah, I've seen that when it comes down to it, Gears has slowly been picking up more in the way of the competitive scene, which is not a bad thing. But I hope that that's not what they end up focusing on in the long run for Gears, simply because that is not really the thing that I want to focus on if I were to sit down and play Gears, would be multiplayer. I mean, I play it for story first. I know one of the guys on my team here at work has said that the moment Battlefield 2042 comes out, he's uninstalling all of his other games and he is only ever playing Battlefield 2042 from that point onward. And that takes some dedication right there. I'll go ahead and say that. All right, now I know at this point it looks like I'm kind of making a mess with the wing, but that's perfectly fine to do that. Like I said, I'm probably going to go back and redo the wings later on. Maybe just go ahead and do like all of the webbing with a flesh tone. But for now, this is what I'm trying to get taken care of. Taking you some time off for 2042 there, Kelly? I can dig it. I've actually taken off time a couple times this year for games already. The big two that come to mind for me were, of course, Monster Hunter. Rise has been amazing fun. I need to get back to playing it. And Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which, little side note, I've still actually not sat down and finished Mass Effect 3, which is kind of unfortunate, but too many games coming out all at once. Now, speaking of chainsaw weapons, Harley Q, I know you're not a big fan of them, but back in Gears of War 2, you actually have like a chainsaw battle with one of the big generals, and it's actually a pretty legit moment. Like, entirely quick time event, but yeah, real fun. All right. We're going to go ahead and finish up with the bones here on the outside of the wing. And then I'll move on to taking care of some of this boy's other legs. because I've already got 2 of them started. Didn't finish the other ones. Yeah, it might be best for me to actually take and go back over these wings with just like a flesh tone for the membrane, because like on this side you can clearly see where some of the bones are, or where all of them are. On this one, not so much, where it's kind of folded up. So, but see, that's okay. That's one of the great things about painting, is that we're always able to go back and change the things we don't like. So I'm going to go ahead, start working on the rest of him. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because his wings are in the way, and I'm trying to find the best camera angle so you guys can see what I'm doing, but I can also still see what I'm doing. And I'll tell you right now, that's kind of difficult. And I will say that this is definitely one of the more detailed models that I've painted in a while, but I think that's mostly because of the extent of like some of the scales and such on this boy. I feel you there, Chris. I'm big on shooters as well. I've kind of gotten away from a lot of them. Been playing a lot of hack and slash here lately. Personally, the game I've been playing here lately is called Scarlet Nexus. It actually came out last Friday, from the same creators that did like Code Vein and God Eater. So if you guys know about that and you've been playing it, let me know. I want to get your opinions on it, because I'm not entirely sure what to think right now, both between story or gameplay. I love me some Code Vein, Panda. I've done multiple playthroughs of it, and I see myself doing multiple more. I've been getting that itch a little bit to play again here lately, so it's entirely possible that I'm going to get my character back out and do me another playthrough on her, or might even just go ahead and make a new character altogether. But yeah, Harley Q mentioned Fear, and I remember back when that came out years ago. I was still in high school when it came out. One of my friends had just gotten Alienware PC, and like it was a Black Friday deal for this particular laptop, that it came with a copy of Fear. And he brought his laptop in. He just set it up in the middle of English class, and he told the teacher, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to use a computer for taking notes." He totally didn't use the computer for taking notes. He did one of like 3 things. He played Fear. He played Age of Empires, or he watched porn that he downloaded onto it in the middle of class, mind you. Never got caught once doing any of it. I'm surprised to say, but it just, boy, was a mad lad. See, like this leg is already coming along so much quicker than what his wings did. Guys, if you were here with me last week, you remember how long it took. And if you weren't, well, it took me most of last week's episode to work on this boy's wings. That's how long I was working at him. Like, I did his head, his back, a couple of his legs, and then the wings. Alright, so looks like we're almost done with this leg here. Now, I know as always, I like to talk about some of the finer points of painting. Like I'm always talking about, always do 2 thin coats. That way you can come back, put a second coat on, and fix any of the mistakes that you make from the first coat. Now, I'm trying to fill in here between some of his spikes. It's a little bit harder to get in between some of those without making a mess of the spikes themselves or the wings. And what we'll have to do is whenever I get done with the scales themselves, get both coats on, I'll have to come back with a good white paint, go back over the scales. That way I can actually get the kind of color that I want on them. Because with what I'm doing, where I'm using contrast paints, having the white paint as the, or having the white as the undercoat is more or less giving me the exact color tone that I want. And if I try and use another contrast paint on top of this, it's going to look really weird. Especially for the color that I'm going to use for his spikes, where it's the Nazdrag yellow, or not Nazdrag, Skeleton Horde, there we go. The Skeleton Horde makes for a really good kind of old bone look, and that's kind of what I want to go with for his horns and spikes and all that, claws. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back over his front left leg, do me a quick coat, touching up on several areas. Like I said last week, if I had had the ability to build this boy, I would have put his wings on last, because right now, this wing is so much of a headache trying to work around it and make sure I'm getting all the details good. Like, it's one of those that last week I left here feeling pretty good about what I did with him. I came in, looked at him earlier today, and I was like, oh my god, he looks atrocious. And that's one of those things that if you're painting, you're always going to come back and do, because you'll come back and you'll see something that you know you missed. And you'll try and try to always go back, fix it, make sure you do it right the first time, next time, but you're always going to find something that you missed. I play Warhammer regularly, and then I'll pull out models that I've been done with painting them for months and then realize, crap, I missed something on this particular model. I've done it several times. So for the wings, Harley Q, I'm actually going to take, and for the webbing, I'm going to go over with like an actual flesh tone, and then I'm going to darken it up with a shade. That way the wings themselves have like their own color. I'm probably just going to take and paint back over like the bone parts that I've done. The outer parts of the wings are going to stay blue, but all of this, it's going to be, I'll go in to try and paint it, and it's going to look really awkward with having flesh tone blue, unless I do like a kind of a blue flesh tone, which is entirely possible with what I have. So I might be experimenting with that a little bit, see what you think about it, and then continue on. And I'm already back to the back again, working on the spots in between the spikes. Like I said before, this is working around these spikes is definitely going to be some of the harder parts of working on this model, as well as like the wings. The legs and body itself, not so hard. Just got to make sure that I've got enough paint on my palette to work with and enough on my brush so that I can get it to go into those recesses between the scales, but not so much that I cause the paint itself to start pooling. Because that's one of those things you really want to avoid with the contrast paints, is getting too much in a single spot and then it starts to pool. Now, of course, I do want to go ahead and let you guys know, got a pretty cool giveaway planned out for tonight. My co-host for TNT Tactics, I guess I'm actually his co-host, and he's the host itself, but my good friend, the Smash Captain Palmer, helped me to pick out what our giveaway for today is. Nobody changed the stream manager? What? Oof. Was the name of the episode still TNT Tactics? So yeah, on the extended edition, we're talking about the Azure Rathalos. I know it's been a crazy day for us here, guys, but y'all are coming out, you're watching our streams, and I want y'all to know we do greatly appreciate you guys coming in, keeping us company, especially me. You guys come around, watch me for an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, and I'm literally just sitting here painting a model and talking at you guys. So I know I definitely greatly appreciate it. There we go. Get this camera in better focus where I'm holding it up just a little bit higher. Now, I will say, with this new camera that we've got for my art cam, I've been able to make sure that I'm focusing better on details for you guys. And then you'll notice, especially when I'm painting something that I can't really see too well from my angle, I'll actually be looking at my screen more to make sure that I'm getting the paint where it needs to go. So this really helps out. And yes, you guys are totally staring at Dragon Butt right now if you guys are actually watching me. I know a lot of our viewers come in, just listen to me while I'm talking and doing all this painting. They're here for the Hampton ASMR. So, and guys, if you are just simply here for the Hampton ASMR, I appreciate it either way. Shout out for all the lurkers. I mean, you right. He ain't got no butthole. Kelly points out some of the weirdest stuff. I mentioned in Planar Escapades a few weeks back that the dog that Holly's character summons got licked and had an existential crisis, and he was done. He was like stuck on that for the rest of the night, which, given no one really expects a dog to have an existential crisis. It was like, I go back and I think about it, and yeah, no, that some of the things I say from time to time, I'm like, oh my god, I'm allowed in public. I'm an adult. I'm allowed to do things. The dog had an existential crisis. Now, I know I've been stuck on this color of blue for a bit, guys. I swear. I'm going to move on to something else, a different shade of blue eventually. But for now, our main color is blue. Oh, going back to that fork knife there, Chris. I see you. Fortnite does seem quite a bit less in the way of super sweaty gameplay, so I don't necessarily blame you. Hmm. I wonder, has anyone ever come up with the concept for a fork knife, like an actual eating utensil? It's one of those things that I'm sitting here thinking about it, and it's like we have the spork, and it's a great thing, but you hardly ever see them. But what about an actual fork knife? Would you cut yourself trying to eat the food off the fork part because it's also a knife? These are the kinds of things that I think about, guys. So, welcome to Random Conversations with Josh Hampton. Yeah, I've heard some weird things about this season. Apparently, Superman is one of the skins you can get. And, like, this season is Aliens, I believe, is what it's supposed to be. Like, it's weird. I mean, if what's his face from, Destroy All Humans is a playable character, then you know what? I'd say it's totally a good season. If he's not though, then yeah, no, it doesn't seem that great. But that's just me. Serrated edge on one of the tips. It wouldn't surprise me if that was actually the case. If that was an actual eating utensil. For any of our inventors in chat, um, if you decide to invent the fork knife and you become rich on it, uh, remember your dear friend, the resident dungeon master and uh, painter, Josh Hampton. All right, so I know I've been working on this boy for a little bit, talking your ear off. I figured this is a good time for us to go ahead and talk about our giveaway for the night. So, like I said, uh, totally took and got some advice from Palmer on what to give away. I like the giveaway for this evening. Uh, Now, as you guys know, it's always Rick Sanchez. I want to put out, you put Rick Snatches. So I want to know, Chris, what is Rick Snatching? But getting off topic. Wait, the fork knife actually exists? Okay. This is something I didn't actually know existed. I thought it was a joke. Panda, you've derailed my entire evening. Well, something that I hope you guys will like for our giveaway. It is a young black dragon from the Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures paint line of unpainted miniatures. Now, this is actually a really nice figure. I can tell you right now that there is some warping for both of the wings. Just remember my tips. Take, run it under some hot water, have some water, cold water on the side, and put some ice in it. Once you get the wings shaped how you want them, just dip them straight into the ice water. That way they set pretty much immediately. Yes, more dragon. Always dragon. Last week was the week of the dragon. This week is the week of the dragon. This, of course, is a black dragon. Now, for any of you that know me, one of my favorite dragons in D&D is a black dragon. Like, black dragons in general. I just like the way they look, the whole demonic look. They breathe acid. Like, that's their breath weapon. They spit acid all over people. And it sucks for those people. So yeah, uh, for our keyword, we'll just be go ahead and use the word dragon, because why not? So guys, as always, I'll offer this on every single one of these streams. If you win and you want to see this boy painted on stream, let us know. I'll make sure to get him painted and we'll get him sent to you. If you just want it sent to you and you try your hand using some of the tips I've given, then we can do that as well. I do also want to point out, you guys do need to be following us in order to win. Now, the great thing is, if you are subscribed to us, subscribers get double entries. So, I'll definitely be following. Now, of course, we have more of these here at Troll and Toad. If you don't win, but you decide, you know what, I want this, come check us out. You can get it. Dig a lotta, thank you for following. We greatly appreciate it, my dude. Now, if my memory serves, I think this one is only about $15 on our website. That's actually not a bad value for a model that size, especially. So, definitely get it, check it out. This thing does have a dynamic pose. The base itself, the terrain feature that goes on the base, actually has what's called a flying stem attached to it. So you just glue the terrain piece onto the base, and then you just set the model, like the flying stem will have a peg that just slides into the model, holds it in place. So it's really cool. Like flying models in general are always really neat. This one is just really nice all around. So I know that spamming the keyword doesn't actually get you extra entries, but as the guys always say, and at this point it seems a shame to stop saying it, key that spam word. See if you can win you a really awesome dragon model. I know JT from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Super Show saw it earlier. He was like, that is sick. And I was like, yeah, it is. You could totally win it. He's like, if I do, I want you to paint it on stream. So, JT, if you're watching, here's your chance. So, while that's going, we are just going to go ahead and get back to work on this boy here. Realistically, I think what I need to do at this point is just suck it up, go ahead with a smaller brush, and start working on those spots in between the spikes on his back. Simply because if I don't, I'm going to keep putting it off. And I am notorious for putting off the things that I don't want to work on as far as like painting goes. So if I don't do it now, I won't do it at all. And then, you know, I will have depressed people that are watching me paint this lovely dragon. Hey, procrastination is the best excuse to do anything as an adult. It's the main reason that I get a lot of the stuff done that I do, simply because I know if I put it off, I'm just going to end up having to do it, but with less time to do it. That's when you know you're an adult. You understand that you could put it off, but it's going to be a headache if you do. Now, realistically, whenever I went in to start working on his back, this is probably what I should have done, was just a smaller brush from the get-go, which, like I said, I can always go back over the spikes with a white and just clean them up so that it's not really an issue. It's just one of those that it would have been nice in the long run. That's another one of those things with painting. Work smarter, not harder. There's nothing wrong with having to take and do touch-ups or change something about a paint job that you don't like, but when you do something and then you make it harder on yourself in the long run because you have to put more work into it, that's when you need to evaluate, is this the right brush for the job? And last week I was like, ooh, dragon, and started slapping paint on. Now I'm back this week and it's like, oh no, dragon, I slapped paint on. Moral of the story, don't slap dragons with paint. Unless you happen to be, a gnome wizard and you decide to use color spray on a dragon. And you find out the hard way that a dragon has too much HP for color spray to work. There's a reason I don't play gnomes anymore. Or spellcasters whenever I play D&D. Avoid them like the plague, really, unless it's a warlock. I'm going to start trying to clean up some of these details around his head. Get in on some of the skills that I missed. Now, see, in this case, I just have paint going on a spike, and I can't really help that one. That's when it's, okay to be like, well, I made a goof, but I can go back and fix that. Versus, like I said last week, I just took and started slapping paint on a dragon. And now it's one of those of, I'm going to have to put in a little extra work, which extra work is never a bad thing. It always hurts to go that extra mile when you're working on your paint job. But this is definitely one of those times when it would have been nice if the brain would have taken over and been like, Hampton, no. Instead of being like, ooh, paint. Alright, so I think I've got one more area, one more tiny little spot here on his back to touch up. I'm not going to worry about a second coat right now, simply because I do still have several spots on him. They're dry, but not really dry enough for me to be ready to go over with a second coat and not end up making a mess out of certain spots. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on the top of his tail. The top of his tail, I'm planning on having all that be blue, and these like blades on the side, I'm going to again have like the same kind of bone color as the spikes on his back. Now I know, like I said, it seems like I'm taking a long time with this blue, and part of it is where there's just so much surface area, and another part of it is I want to go ahead and get the majority of the model done. That way the details themselves won't take quite as long. So I'm going to go back to our big brush for this part. And then just go ahead, get our brush loaded down a pretty decent bit. Actually going to need to get us a bit more paint on the palette. See, this would be a great time for me to have remembered to have brought my wet palette with me, and then I didn't. I know, guys, all of a sudden I'm back to slapping paint on, but kind of bigger areas that I have to work with right here, and some of it is not going to be avoidable. But in general, when it comes to bigger areas like this, it's a lot easier as long as you're not rushing. But at the same time, it can also be a lot harder if you're just trying to get something done real quick. And I am kind of taking my time with the tail. A few years ago, back when I had first really started looking into painting, I probably would have just taken a can of primer, primed in blue, and then done detail work and been like, done. But in this case, it's a lot more rewarding to actually take your time and work on all the separate details by hand. All right, so first coat on tail is done. I'm going to give that time to dry before I move on to the rest of the tail. I am going to go ahead and try me a little experiment. I had mentioned earlier possibly going over and trying with one of the colors I have to try and go with a flesh tone. So we're going to put our Talisar blue up for a bit, and I'm going to go ahead and get out some Fenrisian gray. I want to see how well uh, yeah, storm around our area. It wouldn't surprise me if you guys are seeing some kind of quality drop in video quality. I'm only going to give me a couple dollops here of my Fenrisian Gray. Let's see, do one more. That should be good. And then just add us a little bit of water to it. With this, I don't want it too thin, where I'm trying to go back over some of the paint that I've already done. Um, so Oh, alrighty. So I'll go ahead and start on this wing where I do have some of the bones kind of left alone. I want to see how this is going to look at first before I put too much on there. Now, from the looks of it, this is actually going to give it the exact shade of blue or bluish gray that I'm wanting for like this flesh tone. So I can totally make this work. Now, it looks like I will need to go over a bit thicker in a couple of areas to try and go over where I've gotten some of this Talisar blue. So I am just going to go ahead, get me a bit more paint here on my palette, and just give it a good mix in. And that's one of the great things about painting is, especially when, stupid fly, get away, I'll paint you, is whenever you get a color on that you don't want and you're trying to go back over it with something, and turns out, lo and behold, your color's too thin. Well, you can always add a little bit more to it. I know Miss Harley Q's probably sitting at home watching and wondering, Hampton, why are you doing this? But stupid fly. I know for us here, flies have been atrocious. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but yeah, pretty crazy. But yeah, like I said, it, hey, you know what, Panda? It might be freezing for you there, but you know what that means? Less flies. Now, all things considered, I actually love the winter months, but hot dog units? Oh, man behind the camera is talking some kind of gibberish back there, and he's got me wondering if I'm having a stroke here. Now, the great thing about something like this with what I'm doing right here is that you can just kind of go over real quick. And even if you get a bit more on your brush than what you think you would need, you can still use whatever you get on here and just kind of pull it down as you're painting. And this is one of those times where you can actually go a little bit faster and it's fine. Okay, 24 degrees freedom units. I just now saw that, Panda. I'd be focusing on a dragon. There we go. Yeah, there we go. That's got me the consistency I'm wanting. Now, of course, as always, whenever you're painting over something, you do have to be careful that you don't get too much on so you don't lose your detail. And you could probably notice in some places where that blue is bleeding through. Again, this is why we do 2 thin coats. That way, in this case, we can make it so that is not bleeding through by the time we're done with it. Now, speaking of dragons, I don't know how many of you play Magic the Gathering, but if you've been keeping up with it, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Dragons are going to be stupid in this upcoming format. Totally looking forward to seeing Tiamat hit the board. Totally looking forward to seeing the Kobold that is going to be like, okay, Tiamat gets to swing, and then all these other dragons come out. Yeah. Now that some of this is starting to dry on this wing, I'm actually really liking this color. There's a shade that I need to go over it with that I don't have with me. Go figure. But right now, this is honestly looking really good for the wing. And a lot of it is that I will just need to do some touch-ups here and there. But this is going to make doing the wings so much easier. And see, that's the thing. Sometimes it just takes going back, redoing something, and then realizing this is going to be super easy. But you'll notice I'm also having to use a ton of paint for this part. And it's mostly just because the sheer amount of area I'm trying to cover on this boy. And see, this is why we always thin out our paints. That way we can come back over with a second coat, because with this second coat, all of these super rich blue spots are just taking and disappearing. So guys, I'm going to let the giveaway for the Black Dragon run for just a little bit longer. So, by all means, if you haven't already entered that keyword, make sure to be doing it. Keep talking. Have fun in chat. I know it might seem like I go quiet from time to time, but it's usually because I'm either trying to focus on something. Really hope I didn't get paint on the mic. If I did, I'm sorry, Kelly. I don't think I did. Not that I can tell. But it might not seem like I'm really paying attention or that I've just completely lost myself to the world. It's mostly just that I'm trying to keep up with what you guys are saying in chat and, you know, do all this painting all at the same time. So this is one of those times when having the right brush is going to make all the difference for your painting. In this case, where we're covering such a big area, this is where it's good to have a bigger brush. And no, I didn't get paint on anything. It's okay. I've already checked. I'm fine. And of course, with this just being like a regular paint and not a contrast paint, we can go over and just do like normal standard brush techniques and go over the same spot multiple times and not have to worry about tearing any of the pigments or anything like we would with contrast paints. This would also be a really good time to have an airbrush, because if I had an airbrush, these wings would be done. I'd already have this new color on both of them. Now, you can go ahead and see here how it's turning out kind of a bluish gray here on top. We got a little much in the way of light, so I know it's a bit harder to see, but from my end, it's like a real nice kind of rich smoke blue or smoke gray. So it's looking really good. I know this is what I should have done with the rings from the beginning, but lo and behold, I didn't think about it until literally just today. And I've been working on this dragon since last week. So, guys, don't know if you all have been keeping up with Loki. I have. Um, actually, new episode came out last night, and I've not watched it yet. Never mind. I was getting on to you guys about not keeping up with it, and here I am not keeping up with it. Oh, don't say anything, Kelly. I'm gonna watch it when I get home. Um, so far, I'm absolutely in love with this series. I'm not a big fan of superheroes. I'm more of a fan of like the anti-heroes and then of course the villains. And Loki has been like one of my favorite anti-heroes that Marvel has had. Pretty much ever. And you got to remember that I love Venom and Deadpool both. Loved them before either of them got their cinematic appearance. But yeah. Loki has been really good. I'll go ahead and say it. I know Palmer is already kind of surprised at me. I've still not watched Bad Batch yet. And this is when Chris just comes through the internet on me to be like, Hampton, why? You know what? Stupid fly. I'm about to paint this fly that's bugging me. Told you guys. I just honestly I've not had a lot of time to watch stuff. Uh, I get to watch a little bit of anime with the missus in the evening. We're currently going back and rewatching Ghost in the Shell. Standalone Complex, if you've never watched it, is an amazing series. So if you've not, watch it. If you have watched it before, then you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, a lot of the time when I get home in the evening, I just sit down, I start up my PlayStation without even thinking, look at the screen, turn it back off, and just sit around and mess on my phone. Right. There you go. Get yourself stuck in some paint, you stupid little bug. I'm sorry, you guys are used to hearing me being all calm and everything, and then this fly shows up. I'm hoping he gets himself stuck in some paint. That way I can just go ahead and paint him like one of my dragons. Like, I know people in general just really dislike flies, but I've always hated flies. Ever since I was a little kid, I've hated them. And, that's kind of stuck with me into adulthood and just my hatred of flies. All right. So, looks like we're done with this wing, at least mostly. I'll need to come back and do probably another coat on a few of these spots over here, but I'm going to give it some more time to just sit and dry. How about we go ahead and roll for that black dragon? And I hate mosquitoes almost as much as I hate flies. I'm going to be 100. Germs, you've won the giveaway, my dude. You got yourself a black dragon. Congratulations. Now, as memory serves, we have your information on file where you've won with us before. So we will get this sent out probably tomorrow at the earliest. That way you can get a hold of it and start painting on it. Like I've said before, if you want to have it painted here on stream and get to watch it come to life, then by all means, let me know. Either through the guys here in the studio or on Discord. Which, by the way, guys, if you've not joined our Discord, I encourage y'all to do so. Even if you don't normally keep up with our streams, we're always just chatting it up with everyone, each other here at work, our viewers. Germs, I'm glad that your daughter's going to be happy for this. She's big into dragons. This is probably going to be a fun kit for her to work on painting. But yeah, definitely come join us in the Discord, chat with us. The hosts are almost always available. If we're not, it's because we're here at work. And we would love to be able to just sit and talk to you as our jobs. But unfortunately, we've got other things that we do need to take care of. But we respond pretty quickly. So, Yeah, you guys can see how much more paint I'm using with, like, here's the grade that I'm using for this flesh tone for the wing membrane. Here's what I've used for, like, everything that I've done so far this evening. That by itself should give you an idea the difference between, like, the traditional paints and the contrast paints. Now, of course, contrast paints aren't going to be able to do everything for you. Neither are the traditional paints. It's just knowing what to use, when to use it, and how much of it to use. In this case, I've had to go through a lot of just like normal paint trying to work on these wings. This is one of those reasons why it's always good to stop and think about what you're doing before you do it. Otherwise, you're going to end up having to do a lot more work and use a lot more of your resources. So, when it comes down to it, I know I've talked to you guys about things that you can think about before while you're painting. One of those things that I use painting to do is just get away from all the stress of just everyday life, everything that's been going on in my life. It gives me a chance to not have to worry about it. I get to think about what this dragon has seen, what he's eaten, the villages he's burnt down, the treasure he's hoarded, the sights, all that. And honestly, that's kind of one of the great things about painting is that you get to just not worry about real life stuff for a little bit. And it's a nice, relaxing thing. Is Rathian lady? Yes, Rathian is lady. Rathalos is man. You know this. You stupid fly, you're on my leg. Mm, just wanted to just boop. Is Rathian his lady? I mean, she could be. Either that or she's cheating on him with Rajang. How a dragon would cheat on another dragon with a monkey is a philosophical and anatomical question that I don't really want to fathom, but yep. And I've already started painting myself. Now it's time to paint me like one of my French girls. I don't know, Chris. Why are you watching a show about mummies? I thought you were, listening to me. Find out you're cheating on me with a show about mummies. Completely off topic, but also kind of about mummies. I remember an old cartoon from I think it was late 90s called, oh my god, Mummies Alive. That's what it was. They were essentially like Power Rangers, but mummies. Anyone remembers that show, please let me know. It was an amazing cartoon. And I know I got a kick out of it as a kid. As an adult, I'd probably be like, oh my god, I enjoyed this. But yeah, no, Chris, why are you watching a show about mummies? Huh? Why, sir? Found a mummy in ice that was over 3,000 years old. Okay, that actually seems pretty legit. Did he wake up and eat people? Or are you watching like an actual historical thing? And if so, did he wake up and eat people? Okay, that doesn't answer the other part of my question. Did he wake up and eat people? I remember the curse of the mummy. Return the slab or suffer my curse. All that. You know, I know that at least somebody that's watching this has to be thinking to themselves, Hampton, mummies aren't going to wake up and cause an apocalypse and try to eat people. And then, lo and behold, watch. One day we'll wake up, we'll see on the news, mummy woke up and decided to start eating people. It's going to be the news headline. Nothing is outside the realm of possibility, folks. As improbable as it seems. Alright, so right now, trying to get good second coat here on the wings. Make sure I'm getting all the white spots covered up that need to be covered up. Get all the blue spots covered up that also need to be covered. Now, I promise, I'm going to try and remember to bring in my wet palette next week and talk to you guys about it, because I can tell you right now, if I had it, I would be using so much less paint simply because of what they do, how they work. All right. Looks like at this point I'm mostly done with the top of his wing. No doubt I'll have to end up coming back to him next week. I'll see something that I missed, and then I'll be like, "Ah, great, I have to go back and work on his wing more." But he's coming along, slowly but surely. Have a good one, Gerudo Bear. It's been great to have you, my dude. As always, take it easy. So, of course, right now, this is our progress so far. I know in places it's still looking a little splotchy. He's going to take some more work. I didn't expect this one to be a quick paint job. As much as I would like for it to be quick, I knew it wouldn't be. He's a big boy. There's a lot to him. So, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up a little early tonight. It's been a really long day. I'm really tired. And we've made good progress on him. At this point, me trying to get started on any other part of him would just end with me being halfway done with that part. So, I'm going to go ahead do some of our shout outs for our other shows. So, of course, tomorrow we have Commander with Logan. He's always a great guy to come chat with, hang out with. Funny guy. He really is. I don't know what he's working on tomorrow. I know, again, it's Commander, so he can literally be working on building anything to his heart's content. That boy is always theory crafting some kind of deck for Magic. Tomorrow evening, we have the Yu-Gi-Oh! Super Show with JT. I don't know if he's doing more dueling book or what exactly he's doing. So come find out. Again, real funny guy. That stupid fly. Flies make me violent, guys. So, on that side note, we are going into a holiday weekend with the 4th of July. That being said, we're not going to be here in the office Monday, so no tables, ladders, and trolls. I do want to go ahead and say, as a friendly reminder, for anyone that is going to be going out, spending time with friends, family, going to fireworks shows, all that, if you do go out, please just be careful. If you drink, drink responsibly. If you drive, drive carefully. And if you're setting off fireworks, be mindful of your neighbors, your pets, all that. If you're going to drink, especially do those last two responsibly. I don't want to come in to stream and then someone be like, guys, my house burned down. Why? Fireworks. Don't want that to happen to anyone. So definitely have a safe weekend, guys. Now that being said, we come back to Tuesday. There's nothing planned. C&H Collectibles is going to be every other Tuesday. We just had our first Tuesday episode this past one. And so it'll be not this one, but the next Tuesday. I don't know what we have planned yet. I don't think Chris the Collector's thought that far ahead. So as soon as we know something, you'll know something. For Wednesday, we, of course, have Drew's Poker Shop. I think he's going to be doing some TCGO next week. Bronze Panda threw down the gauntlet earlier in TNT Tactics, if any of you guys were watching. So, and I've seen this man in action when it comes to Magic Arena, and he slapped Kelly and Logan around a couple times. So, I know my boy Panda's probably got him a good Pokemon deck. I want to see him do the same to Drew. Love Drew, but you do it, Panda. You show him who's boss. Of course, Wednesday night, we have Standard Logan and Kelly. I'm going to be slapping at that thing the rest of the evening. But Standard with Logan and Kelly. I know they've been doing a lot of arena here lately. I think they've been playing against some of our viewers. Have you guys been talking about Adventures in the Forgotten Realms any? Or... Yep. So, they'll probably talk about some more Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Guys, definitely keep up with it. This is an amazing set. I'm going to play Magic again. I have not played actively since the end of the Scars block, beginning of Innistrad. So, I'm stoked. If I'm this stoked about playing, as much as I hate Magic anymore, you know it's going to be good. It looks really fun. So, keep an eye out for that. As soon as we know more stuff, you'll know more, because we'll talk about it. So, going on to Thursday, we have Troll versus Toad. We're moving on to the racing tournament. I don't know what game we have in mind for the racing game, so stay tuned for that. I also don't know who all's going to be competing in that. I went in for Halo. Chris dishonored his family. This is what I get for, saying anything's on the table, random weapon spawns. I learned my lesson. And then, of course, we come back to TNT Tactics with myself and Palmer at 4 o'clock. And then we wrap up on Thursday with more of me. So, guys, those are our shout-outs. As always, thank you guys for coming and joining me. We greatly appreciate y'all. Love you. And I hope you all have a great evening. Take care.